Alright, I'm going to tell you about my plan to build a totally custom FXR for $3,000. Street legal, nice paint, nice wheels, good brakes, suspension upgrade, 105 horse motor, reliable for $3,000. And realistically, I'll probably have it riding for $3,000, and then I'll end up spending another grand on, you know, some details. But plan is $3,000, be banging some wheelies on a custom bike. So check this out. Here's what I got. I got a convoluted trade deal for a welded some exhaust for a Buell. Got this janky Buell parts bike. I'll show some pictures of it. Here it is. Traded that to some crazy dude. Some parts off it for a Ironhead Sportster. Traded that Sportster and $1,000 for this super methed out, what I'm calling the Meth XR. But titled, clean title. And I'm going to combine them to make the bike they should have built. Buell motor with the Buell heads into a Eric Buell FXR frame. I'm going to use the Buell suspension with a 2-inch drop triple clamp, and then when I rebuild that fork, I'm going to do the internal so it's 2 inches over stock fork length. So it should be 4 inches over on the Buell fork, which should put me an inch to an inch and a half taller than the factory Harley fork on these janky 35 mil factory fork. I can't believe they put this on a 650 pound bike with a single disc. What a piece of trash. So I'm basically building a junkyard special bike that they should have built in the first place. Alright, so we're ripping the motor and tranny out of this thing. Me and Jeff. Say hi. Hey. The Meth XR is getting torn down for a new heartbeat.
For the 50th time.
Yeah. Oh, she's got some history. So the rest of my plan for that FXR is I'm going to run the Buell wheels, the Buell engine trans Sportster setup. I'm going to machine the top triple to accept the standard riser and handlebar setup, and build some custom bars out of scrap tubing that I have. Make it kind of a Street Fighter style. What else am I going to do? I'm going to try and keep the factory fuel injection on that thing, on the Buell, and use the Buell exhaust, even if I have to slightly mod the frame. And that Buell comes with a oil cooler factory also, so it kind of solves all the problems with the FXR. Now let's talk about what I think are the problems with the FXRs. Everyone else seems to not care, but I'm a cheapskate, and I'm not going to spend 10 grand on an FXR that breaks down all the time and has a crappy transmission and crappy brakes and crappy suspension. So the magic of the FXR to me is purely in the frame. Solidness of the frame, the front fork geometry and rear suspension geometry. To me, everything else can just be thrown in the trash. I think everything on the Buell is going to be a huge upgrade. So that's my plan. I'm going to try and keep the fuel injection. If it's and keep it reliable. With that oil cooler and the big exhaust and the big fork and big brakes, it should be a solid little runner. If I can't get the fuel injection to run the way I want it, I might jump to carburetors, but I'm gonna try and just get pretty much everything from inside that fuel inside this and packaged really nicely. Pick out the best of the two tanks I have and paint them nice, and do some of the details. And that's my plan to. Right now I'm $1,500 in, and I have all the hard parts with a clean title and registration, current reg. So it's not that far-fetched to think for $1,500 more I can get that engine in, triple tree, paint everything myself. I may have the frame powder coated. Should be about $400. That might just set it off nicely. So that's the plan. Some of you purist FXR guys might go, well, that's not an FXR. It doesn't have the FXR transmission, the factory motor. Well, that transmission up until '89 is complete garbage. So why would I pay a lot of money for one of those? So this is my version. I'm cheap, and I like to build bikes that shred. So this is the route I'm going. You can build yours any way you want. I hate mine, but I think it'll be pretty solid for not a lot of money. It'll be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. I'll be collecting some more small parts, and then this winter I plan on building the whole thing in 3 months in my free time. So stay tuned for that. So a couple things I just forgot to say about the FXR. It has a long, shady history in Santa Cruz. It was a club bike for years. I mean, this thing's been in police impound. People started coming out of the woodwork. It's a small town telling me stories about it. Been crashed a bunch of times. I mean, when my buddy got it from the tweakers, it was folded under completely, the fork, just toast. And it was all messed up wiring and every kind of baling wire. In fact, the first time we took it on a ride, the exhaust fell off. We rigged it up. Good stuff. Some beer cans and some tie wire we found in the bushes. It was good times. It's also owned by a cousin fucker. Guy moved to a different state to marry his cousin that owned this bike, apparently. It was in the movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is kind of a Santa Cruz legend, low-budget horror movie. Pretty awesome. But somehow, cheap FXRs, you're always going to be dealing with some tweaked out, just crazy kinds of people. This one actually also got this. It's a clean frame with a clean bill of sale and everything, but got it from some Hawaiian shock and gnar tweakers. I don't know why that is. It's just they're attracted to them like flies to shit. So that's some other fun facts about this thing. And I'm going to rebuild it, get it tight and right, and keep it up here in Santa Cruz. It'll have another 20 years of Bay Area history. I mean, this thing's been around the block. So it should be interesting.